I truly do love the man that I am, the man that I'm growing to be, yet alone the man that God created me to be. I truly do take pride in being the individual that He has created me to be, and the development and growth that, He has blessed me with the opportunity of having. Because, in all honesty, man, a lot of people tend to not take pride in having integrity, yet alone being honest with people, treating others the way that they would want to be treated. A lot of people seem to lack having those aspects as a person, especially in regards to morals, ethics, and values, things of that nature. But me, man, I truly do love being the individual that God has created me to be, as well as allowing me to walk this path in the attempts to just bring things to people's awareness. It truly is fulfilling, you know. And I say this because, we all tend to face trials, tribulations, obstacles, challenges, hardships, pain, etc. And so many people tend to let these things, hinder them in some way, shape, or form, to where they begin to remain stagnant and, let that victim mindset, set into place and, play the blame game and, things of that nature, simply because they don't want to assume accountability for their actions, because nobody ever truly wants to honestly look in the mirror and take responsibility for the things that it is that they allow to, transpire within their lives. Because, in all honesty, we all have a part to play in everything it is that we experience, in all honesty, outside of, the external forces that we truly do not have control over. But outside of that, like I said, we all have a responsibility to look ourselves in the mirror and assume accountability for what it is that we allow to transpire within our lives, and we can honestly make that conscious decision to make that change for the better on a personal level. And with that, every trial and tribulation, every obstacle and challenge that comes my way, I tend to try and look at it from a positive aspect, with a positive mindset. What is it that I need to learn from this situation? What is it that I can take from this situation? What is it that I can, gain from this situation and begin to implement into my life moving forward in a positive fashion? And with having that mindset, it has allowed me to honestly see life differently, to maneuver differently, to be a better person, to be a better man in all ways, shapes, and forms, in all honesty. And in doing so, it has showed me that a lot of the things that has transpired in my life in a negative fashion were simply due to me being negative myself. And so, since I don't like to have a negative mindset anymore, I don't allow negativity around me in no way, shape, or form. I don't allow toxicity. I don't allow drama. I will remove myself. I have removed myself from all low vibrational frequencies. And, since doing so, my life honestly has begun to unfold in a positive fashion, to the point to where I had me a job offer come through the other day. And originally, I wanted the job. In all honesty, I wanted the job simply because throughout this year, I've only worked 2 jobs. I've only worked them for about 2 weeks apiece, simply because they just didn't align with me. Going through the door, yes, it was something that I truly thought that I want it, in all honesty. But since separating from those jobs, I've been more happier and at peace to be able to have my energy and a more uplifted, positive spirit. And so when the job offer came through to me today, them asking was I still interested, I responded back immediately, yes. They gave me a start date. But then after thinking about it, I'm like, man, I don't really know. I truly do like the freedom that I have, because God provides for me in all ways, shapes, and forms, since me not necessarily being employed by the two employers that I was previously working for. And originally, with me leaving the last employer, it was kind of like an impulsive thing, considering that, I had this job already lined up before leaving the other place, but the way that they made it seem like, okay, well, as soon as my background check comes through, boom, I'm good to go. I'm going to start immediately. My train of thought and my thinking, oh, well, I know I'm good. My background's going to come through good. So, you know what I'm saying? I got the job. I'm in there like swimwear. You already told me I'm going to start in the next few days. So, all right, cool. Boom. I'm going to go ahead and let this job know, hey, look, I'm good. So y'all can take me off the schedule. Go ahead, find whoever it is that you needs to replace me. So, y'all don't necessarily get the short end of the stick. Well, me doing that, I kind of put myself in the predicament of giving myself the short end of the stick by moving impulsively, which is nobody's fault but my own. But even still, I have been provided for in all ways, shapes, and forms through that man upstairs, as he always does. I put my trust, my faith, and my belief in him, and he always comes through for me and provides for me. So a couple of weeks done went by. They finally responded back to me, hey, are you still interested in the job? Yeah. They give me the start date. Okay. As the day progressed, I began to thinking, do I truly want to, put myself back in that environment? Do I really want to assume the position of, letting someone have some sense of power and control over me? Because I truly do enjoy my freedom. And with that thought process, I was thinking as I was on my way to go and get me something to eat, and I happened to go inside this restaurant to get my food. And as I went inside the restaurant, I could see the workers that were there, but then I could see the upper level of management there as well. And you can tell the individuals who truly don't belong with the regular workers. Granted, some of them was working, but the others, they stood out like a sore thumb because I can read a room, and upon being in there for not even 2 minutes, it was like I had a sensation like I could smell corporate. And just looking around at all of the individuals working, it was as if they were robots, simply because they had a higher power there out of the usual, not just regular supervisors. They had, the higher ups, corporate individuals, people over the GMs and stuff like that. And sitting back watching these people work, I began to sit back and think like, man, do I truly want to be a puppet for anyone else anymore as I move forward within my life? Telling me when I have to be to work, when I get off work, when I could take lunch, when I could go and have a smoke break, and things of that nature. And that's no disrespect to anybody else who does carry out a regular 9 to 5. But me, on the other hand, with where I'm at within my life, having this train of thought and this awareness, it just doesn't resonate with me and my soul and the path it is that I'm on. So I had to make that conscious decision that, what, nah, I'm cool. I'm not gonna, take the job and, put myself back in that predicament of allowing someone to have some sense of control over me, simply because I truly do know my worth and I value my freedom. And I know that God will always provide for me and take care of me in all ways, shapes, and forms, as long as I trust and I believe in him. And that is something that I do wholeheartedly on a daily basis. You know, I live and lead my life on a daily basis in trusting in Him in all ways, shapes, and forms. And that means that, I don't act a certain way around certain individuals and then I flip it off like a light switch later on in the day. Like, it doesn't work like that. I lead my life as a divine being, a divine child of God on a daily basis through my actions, through my character on a daily basis, always. Simply because I know that even though nobody else may be looking, I know that He is. And He holds me to a higher standard. Therefore, I have to represent Him in a way that is pleasing to Him as well as myself. So on a daily basis, I carry myself, in a fashion to a higher standard, in all honesty, simply because that is just me and who I am and who He has bred me to be. And I can't have it and or see it any other way. Because in doing so, that just wouldn't be me. Now, as a human being, yes, there are times to where, our emotions and feelings could get the, best of us to make us, want to lash out or, act out of anger. But it's a feeling, it's temporary. And in knowing that it's temporary, guess what? I can allow it to surface in the attempts of understanding and knowing why that it has surfaced, why it's here, but also maintaining a sense of control within myself and knowing that, hey, I am in control of my actions and my reactions, the words that I speak, my thoughts, how I carry myself. So no matter what may be transpiring right now at this present moment in time regarding my feelings or my emotions, guess what? It is temporary. And I have the power to change it. Even if it's outside of my control, I have the power over myself on how I choose to react to it. And that is the thing that I love about myself with walking down this path, because it has aided me in obtaining something that cannot be taken away from me. And that is self-mastery. Control over my mind, my heart, my tongue, my body, all of me. Which has allowed me to be at peace because I am one with myself. Which is why I'm always in a positive mood all day, every day, despite what may be going on the external, outside of me. What goes on outside of me has nothing to do with me and my life per se, because I live in my own world, and within my own world, I am happy. I am at peace in all ways, shapes, and forms. And I can promise you that. So there is nothing outside of me that will cause me to stoop to anybody else's level in the attempts to seek vengeance, revenge, or, attempt to reenact or ensue some type of karma on anyone in no way, shape, or form, because I know that that is not me and who I am. That is not my job. That is not my duty. That is not my role to play. Therefore, I lead my life in an authentic fashion, and I am grateful simply because that is who I am. And who I am, divinely, one of a kind. Love and light. Y'all stay blessed.